right, now let's talk some NBA basketball. Uh, Everybody knows that well, if you haven't been paying attention, Demarcus Cousins was recently let go by the Houston Rockets. They mutually parted ways, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, I'm not sure how you personally feel about Marcus Cousins. I feel like after his major injuries that he's had over the last 3 seasons or so, three major injuries. I think two of them were on his left leg at that.
Yeah, he's had tough last couple of years.
I'm a little annoyed with him as far as the fact of John Wall gets traded to the Houston Rockets, and Cousins is eager. He said all I want to do is play with John Wall so they could reminisce on their college days. Then all of a sudden y'all play maybe about 15 or so games together, and now you want to jump ship. Like,
what was this? It was a mutual parting, right? Or did DeMarcus not want to play with the team anymore?
I think it was he didn't want to play with the team, and then they just were like, okay, if we're not gonna get anything for you really, or we could, but we're not even gonna try to shop you. We're just gonna let you go do your thing. I think it was something along the lines he didn't like the coaching or something like that, but it's like I wonder if players look into this stuff before they start signing with teams and trying to make stuff happen instead of getting with a team and causing a big old uproar about this or that. I understand if you get with a team and everything is copacetic and whatnot, and then all of a sudden things go haywire. But he's a free agent now, and there's been reports that 3 teams are eyeing to sign him: the LA Lakers, Boston Celtics, and the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, he's somebody who can. I would say he's going to come off the bench for sure. But he can come off the bench and give you some solid numbers and a few fouls to give. But I'm just kind of done with Cousins. Give it a team, do something for him, whatever.
Well, hopefully he's able to help one of those teams. But I'll tell you what, like I personally haven't been able to watch him play this year. I don't know if it's a performance thing. I know that. See, Lakers is one of the teams he could go to. I'll tell you what, they'd be one of the teams that could use him. I mean, they've talked about the Lakers. They've just lost 4 straight. I mean, since AD has gone down, definitely changes the dynamic of that team. Not sure if he can go there and help. I mean, at least he could be a stopgap. At least till AD gets back. But looking at who else could possibly use
Celtics and Mavericks.
Mavericks, that's an interesting team because they just had there was some chatter about Mavericks possibly trying to trade Porzingis, but then they came out and said that wasn't true. So,
I don't see Cuban give it up Porzingis.
My first thought when I first saw that, if it was, my first thought was true. One, I said, man, I wonder if something's not wrong with Porzingis for them to be trying to shop him. But like I said, Cuban came out and denied all that talk, so that's obviously not the case. But if they're looking to add Demarcus Cousins, that'd be a pretty good addition to that team. I'm not so sure of the fit, but
and that's a big issue with a lot of teams where they're signing free agents or trying to trade somebody. Like, is it gonna fit? Is it gonna work? But I mean, him with the Mavericks, as far as the big men, I think they'd have Cousins, Boban, Porzingis, and James Johnson, which is a nice 4 as far as running your 4 and 5 on a rotational basis. And then you got Luka, of course. I mean, Luka's just money. And then the other team is the Boston Celtics. I can see Brad Stevens working them into that offense real nice, and him being a good addition for Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker, and the rest of the crew. once again, to me, he'd have to come off the bench, and there's no way around that.
Yeah, that's obviously the role he's playing. Nowadays he's not the Demarcus Cousins of old. I mean, obviously, like I said, we just mentioned like he had last couple of years with the injuries, but we'll see where he lands. Like I said, I'm sure he can help any squad that he goes to. I think personally, it's a matter of fit. Not really. I'm trying to think of a team that like he could just, like obviously right now, he probably want to go to a contender.
He ain't got no choice but to try to go to a contender. He's toward the end of his career, especially with those major injuries. So it's ring chasing time. Take the pay cut and go chase them rings.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Like this modern day athlete now is in more control than ever. Like they are letting it be known where they want to go. And like we're talking, ring chasing as far as, NBA, NFL. When you're a free agent, you're looking for the team that'll put you in the best position to win. Like I said, the athletes are taking back their careers from, like I said, they're the ones that will or will not end up, in the Hall of Fame or wherever they may end up. But, they're not, athlete of today is not relying on that general manager. They're not like, just like the team, they're not going to wait for forever for you to produce for them. Athletes nowadays, they're not going to wait for forever for the general manager or the head coach to get it right and put a good team around them. If, athletes are figuring it out like, yo, man, if you don't have this thing together within the next 2 or 3 years, I'm like, case in point, Deshaun, like Houston, like, I know I hate to segue over to the NFL, but, or the NBA, we stick with the NBA. Like, LeBron did it, back in 2010. Cleveland wasn't doing what they were supposed to. He said, I'm leaving. Like, and then, ended up coming back. But like I said, the main thing is athletes are choosing where they want to go. So I think that's a good thing. I mean, like I said, the team would be quick to dismiss them if they weren't playing right. Why can't the players do the same? They want to win. Everybody wants to win. That's what it's all about. You want to rely on a general manager that's, sticking around, not doing what it needs to do to put the team in the best spot to win. They're letting it be known.
Yeah, let me ask you something, B. And the NBA's top 10 standing, the top 10 best teams right now in the NBA. What percentage do you think is East and what percentage do you think is West?
I'd go 60%. No, I don't know. That could be about. No, wait. I'd go to most of them probably out in the West.
What percentage?
60, 70.
It's right on the money, actually. 70% of the top 10 NBA teams are out West. One being in this order: 1 being Utah, 2 being Clippers, 3 being the Lakers, 4 being the Philadelphia 76ers, 5 being the Phoenix Suns, 6 being the Brooklyn Nets, 7 being the Milwaukee Bucks, 8 being the Portland Trail Blazers, 9 being the San Antonio Spurs, and 10 being the Denver Nuggets.
Oh, well, it sounds about the same as been.
I'm surprised the Spurs are number 9.
That's surprising too. In the NBA, like it's always been murderer's row. I mean, tough go for any teams out in the West. They're just so stacked with talent. And you haven't even 2 or 3 teams right now I can think in my head that you haven't named that like Golden State was normally in there for being a tough squad. Obviously they're without Clay this year. That's a tough break. But like I said, that sounds about right, man. The West has always been stacked. And it's case in point, like Devin Booker. getting snubbed from the All-Star because like the West is so stacked with players.
Well, you know, he's since AD's injured, he's
Oh, so he did switch out. Okay, yeah. So that worked out. But like,
he shouldn't have got snubbed.
You're right. If without the AD injury, like that makes still makes the West like still a tough place to play. So it sounds right that they'd have most of the top 10 teams out there.
I'm still really surprised by San Antonio Spurs being number 9. I have not been able to sit down and watch a game of the Spurs. So I mean,
Popovich still coaching out there, right?
Yeah, I mean,
that's
it's Coach Pop.
Classic. That's classic. Classic Popovich there. Like he's
Bill Belichick.
Even like when he had the great teams, he won like he was supposed to. Like even when he doesn't have such a great team, he's still fine. Like he's obviously in the top. Yeah, that's just Pop there. Obviously for the East, like I said, it's not
Sixers,
many.
Nets, and Bucks.
Now, just because it's only 3 of them in the top 10 doesn't mean that that won't come out to be a pretty spicy playoff run out there. Because you've got some tough young, like just because you're not 1 through 10 doesn't mean like 11 through whatever.
Oh yeah, you got to be in that top 8 in your
yeah. So if they only have three out of the top 10, at least 5 more teams to come up. Atlanta's tough. Yep. Boston's still going to be in the mix. 76ers.
76ers are number 1 in the East.
Okay, so they were in that top 10 you mentioned then. 76ers, Bucks, and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Hawks, like I said, they're one. Orlando could maybe surprise. Miami's still in there.
It's gonna end up coming down to the Hawks, Heat, Raptors. I'm gonna say the Hornets are gonna sneak in there.
That's another surprise that's probably that could happen. Like they just released the second half of the schedule. They're only playing 72 games this year, so. And then there's not the All-Star weekend. That's there's a lot of activities not going to take place as normal, obviously for obvious reasons. But like I say, it ought to be a fun second half of the season. Not sure when the trade deadline is for the NBA.
I'm not sure either. It's coming up soon though, because it's always like right around the All-Star break or
right.
Shortly after.
So, like,
just before, maybe.
It definitely ought to be a fun second half of the season.
Speaking of second half of the season, like we were talking about the Hornets, they got 2 nationally televised games now in the second half of the season. That's pretty big for them as far as where they come up. And it's solely due to the excitement and rejuvenation that their rookie guard is bringing to the franchise. And the team that they built around him before him getting there, LaMelo Ball.
Players that can offensive players that can score and pass well, make for fun basketball for a team, especially for a team that hasn't had fun basketball there in a little bit. Like you said, in that 2 national televised games, that's. Everybody wants to see Ball, like, and he's playing well. He's rewarding, he's playing well. So making the other players around him better. Like as soon as he gets the ball, he's pushing up court, finding an open guy, if not making a play himself. And they're playing pretty good ball themselves. Actually, not sure where they are as far as playoff standings as far as the East.
Like I said, I think they can sneak in that top 8. I think they can get in there maybe about 6 or 7, maybe.
It'll be interesting to see how the East shakes out.
On a final note, as far as what we have to talk about in the NBA, Kyrie Irving and Vanessa Bryant, the wife of Kobe, the late, great Kobe Bryant, are majorly supporting the changing of the NBA logo to Kobe Bryant, which I'm all for. That logo that they have now has been the logo for I don't know how many years, and every so often, you just need to change up. And I mean, Kobe's stats alone, wearing two different numbers and on one franchise, though his numbers, career numbers alone, as far as wearing number 8 versus wearing number 24, he had two great careers in one franchise.
It's like a tale of two halves, but they're equal halves.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they're equal halves, half and half, but to be able to put up gaudy numbers in the beginning, have some mileage or have, a good portion of your career to go through and then change numbers and still put up identical gaudy numbers.
And bring in championships.
Yeah, I mean, it's like getting the switch over and staying stronger and keeping it going. I mean, Kobe is who he is, Mamba mentality. What can you say? Rest in peace, Kobe.
I hope they change the logo. He deserves it. The league deserves it. The world deserves it. Next, we're going to jump into... Let's go ahead and talk about wrestling, because I don't have a lot to say about what's been going on here so much. And then we're going to close out with NFL, because I got a bit to say about that. But here on the wrestling side of things, anybody who's keeping up with the latest news, Paul Wight, a.k.a. The Big Show, a.k.a. The Giant, after 22 years of being with the WWE, he is now all elite. He is now signed with AEW Wrestling. That's pretty big. He's going to be doing some commentating on the dark shows. And he's also signed to be a wrestler, which, the age that he is, he probably won't be wrestling too much, but he's definitely going to have a storyline. I find this to be very interesting because if you've been paying attention over the last month or so, Shaq has been getting very involved with AEW. So involved that he has a match this coming Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021. A tag team match, in fact. Himself, he is teaming with, what is her name again? Jade Cargill. And he's going against Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, and Red Velvet. Now, Shaq's been doing a bunch of trash talking and all that, the big Aristotle, Cody, I'm going to dominate you, all that type of stuff and whatnot. And it's interesting, all of a sudden they signed Paul Wight, because back in 2016, Shaq and Paul Wight, known as the Big Show at the time, met at Wrestlemania 32 in a battle royal. And ever since then, it's always been a thing. Every WrestleMania, are Shaq and Big Show going to have the match that everybody wants to see and all this, yada, yada, yada. And it never happened. And I feel like this is probably when AEW is really going to stick it to WWE and try to get that match as soon as possible.
Be a long time coming for that match. Like I said, like you mentioned, like anybody who's continue to watch wrestling in the past have seen those two cross paths in the WWE. Like I said, we don't get to talk much. We don't get to talk at all really about AEW, but we keep our ear to the ground on that one. But they have gotten quite a bit of talent from WWE. I was kind of glad to see Paul Wight still continue to keep doing, like, anybody wants to continue to keep doing what they're doing, whether it's with the company you've been with for years, or if you just go ahead and step away and do something different and join another company. Good for him to be able to keep doing what he's doing. Like you said, it looks like the stage could be set for him and Shaq to have a match.
I'm not sure if I'll watch it because of Shaq and Big Show, but I'm not quite sure how entertaining it's going to be. It's two giants going against each other. It's not going to be a whole lot of bumps, but I'll watch it to watch it.
We'll see how it goes.
As we reported in our Elimination Chamber segment of our episode last week or a couple of days ago, there's definitely going to be Edge versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for the Universal title. Since Edge made his choice at the Chamber that he would be going against Roman Reigns, this coming Friday, tomorrow, this is going to be the first episode since the Chamber, and it's going to be interesting to see how they build up this storyline as far as Roman Reigns versus Edge, spear versus spear, rated R superstar versus the tribal head chief. I guess this is going to be a good match. I hope it's going to be a good match.
I think it'll be a good match. Edge is still playing. I'm think my NBA. Edge is still performing at a high level. Come back off an injury like he has been 9 years since he came back. I mean, he's look good. Looks good out there. Hopefully, the next few weeks the promos are going to be great. The Fastlane pay-per-view is approaching March 21st, I believe it is. We'll see how they go, where they go with that. But yeah, Ed, those promos ought to be pretty good.
Yeah. That'd probably be the best thing about this whole thing, are the promos. I hope the match is good. I just feel like Roman Reigns being the powerhouse that he is, hopefully he takes care of Edge and looks out for him in regards to Edge coming back from that serious neck injury from a decade ago. But that's going to be interesting to see the build up over the next couple of weeks. And lastly, about wrestling, we're going to talk about Bobby Lashley, who has a WWE title match against The Miz this Monday night on Raw. I'm looking to see how this is going to play out.
Looked funny Monday when I had mentioned before. Like I wondered if Miz is gonna stay true. It looked like a deal was made at the Elimination Chamber when we saw MVP talking with Miz. Looked like a deal was made, and as soon as it happened, I just wondered, like, knowing Miz, I knew, like, he didn't want no part of, he doesn't want any part of Lashley. I wondered if he was gonna stay, be able to stay true or weasel out of it. I figured he was gonna weasel out of it. Like, I figured he was gonna try to get out of it, because Lashley has been tearing people up. Like, he puts that hurt lock on you, and it's over.
Night.
And I figured, like I said, he was gonna get weasel out of it. That was classic vintage Miz there.
But the way Bobby Lashley came out there and beat down Drew McIntyre after the Chamber, which allowed Miz to cash in, and Drew McIntyre being nowhere to be seen this past Monday on Raw, I'm gonna have to assume that McIntyre's gonna come back this Monday and probably screw Lashley out of winning the world title.
I can see that. Interrupting a match and having no contest, thus resulting in probably a triple threat.
Speaking of triple threat, like, this match coming up with Lashley versus The Miz could have been a triple threat had Braun Strowman went on to win his match against Lashley this past Monday night. But Lashley took care of that and he beat Braun. Like, Braun is a big dude, big country dude. But Lashley was just manhandling him like he was just a sack of potatoes. Like, Lashley's on a whole other level here lately.
He's due, man. He's well past due. Like, he's paid his dues. He's like, this is his second run with the company. Yeah. And, like, when he left, he was the top dog at the other place where he was at. Yeah. So, like, it's not nothing new to him be up there, and ironically, when he was the top dog, it was with the MVP, I believe, by his side. I forget what their group was called.
The Impact Wrestling?
Yeah.
MVP was there and they had a group?
Yeah.
I do not remember that.
I forget what they were called. But this isn't the first time those two have been paired together.
I gotta go look back at that. I do not remember that at all.
Yeah, I'm trying to think hard. I'm trying to think what was the name of that group, and I can't think of the name of the group in Impact Wrestling, but MVP was influential with Bobby Lashley there as well. But we'll see where Bobby can either pull it out Monday.
Prediction: Does he win, lose?
No.
What? No, what?
He does not win yet.
How does he lose?
McIntyre run in.
Yeah, I say the same thing. Somehow it's Miz will find a way to get himself disqualified, or somebody's gonna interrupt and be a disqualification. But
I mean, I read with Miz, with him winning the belt, even if it was a slight needle jump, the ratings increased Monday with him as champion.
They needed that.
I mean, it wasn't far. Like it wasn't that much far that they could go. I mean, ratings have been down every week. But with however it may be, like the needle jumped with Miz as champion. So I think it'll create intrigue to have Bobby Lashley probably look very, very, very strong and not get pinned with a McIntyre run-in, but I just don't see him quite taking it off of Miz this soon. If anything, possibly a Fastlane, possibly, but I think this Miz thing could run out for a little bit.
All right, we're going to take a quick little break, and then we're going to close out the episode talking about the NFL.